My name is James Emery, and today we're going to start learning how to do the teleportation effect that I showcased in the overview video. So, whatever project you're working on, just get ready and we're going to dive right in. So, in this project, we're just going to go straight into the first person character. We're going to need to move all of this down because we're going to need a lot of room. And the first thing that we're going to do is set up a line trace. So, if you've watched our other videos, we have a video specifically teaching line tracing. So I'm going to assume that you've watched this. I'm not going to spend too much time on this line tracing, but I'll explain it anyway. I'm just not going to slow down just for that. So the first thing we need is to get the player camera. And from that, we need to get the forward vector. We need to get the actor location, and we need to create a variable. This is going to be the teleport distance. Compile this. We need to change the type to float. The base length that we're going to need is around 2000. If you've done line traces before, you know that they're not. You have to set this value at a decent rate because you send it out 200 units and it's only like a foot in front of the character. So just be careful with what you're doing here. So, alright. Now we're going to need to multiply the forward vector with the teleport distance. And then we need to add these two vectors together. Excuse me if I'm being a little ridiculous with my wires, but I like for my blueprints to be clean. For the next thing, we need to actually get a line trace. We're going to get a line trace by channel. And what we're going to do now is plug in the forward vector and the location with end and the actor location to start. Oh, right. You can use whatever button you want for this. I like doing action inputs, so if you want to do that, go to project settings, go down to input, go to action mappings, click the plus symbol, and we will call this teleport input. I like setting this to the middle mouse button, but again, you can use whatever you want. So call that now teleport input. So alright, we can test this out right now. I said I wasn't going to spend too much time on this. Whoops. But we can give it a go. Yep, that works. It's ridiculously long, but again, that's kind of the point. So this is the first half of the line trace. So just get this set up just like this and you'll be fine. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the wrong way to do a teleport. Open up this, well, just right click and type in move. I think it's move component 2. Something like that. Yeah, move component 2. So we can do this. Basically what's going to happen is you have this target relative location, and if you go to the return value, actually not that, the out hit, and type break hit result and pull that out, you can pull out this trace end. I'll show you why we're going to use this here in a moment. And you can plug this in, and what's going to happen is it's taking wherever the trace ends and plugging in this into this location. And whenever this fires, it's going to teleport your character to wherever the trace ends, which is fine. The problem is let me get this. It's camera. What is it? Get capsule component. This is the way you can test this out. So this is the base thing that you can do. Actually, we can go in and we're going to lower this to about 500. And I'll show you the problem that this has. I'm sorry if I'm not making much sense right now. It's just easier to show you. Is you go through things, and that it's not a good way to do this. Yeah, you can see why we don't use this. The good thing that you can do with it that makes this maybe a good thing is the ease in and ease out over time. It basically replicates what I showed you in the overview video, to where you don't teleport there instantly. You zoom in like I did, but again, you can't use this block hit, which would prevent us from going through things. I should have just said that from the get-go. This is why this is bad. So what we're going to have to do is manually recreate what this one node does with a bunch of other nodes. So get rid of this. I'm sorry about that. So this is going to be the hard way to do this. So pull off from trace end and promote this to a variable. And just call it trace endpoint. You don't have to do this, or you don't have to promote it to a variable, but I like to anyway, just in case I work later, or I'm doing something later, and this becomes important. So what we're going to do instead is set actor. I think it's set actor location. Yes, this is the node we're going to use. And the reason why we use this over the move component is solely because it has this blocking hit into the sweep feature of this, and that will prevent us from going through things, and that's very important. So what we're going to do next is we have to use timelines to move over time instead of using the ease in and ease out feature of the move component 2 node. But like I said, we're basically replicating what that node does with a bunch of other nodes. It creates a bunch of hassle, but it's worth it to be able to have the sweep feature, the sweep and the blocking hit feature that this has. So what we're going to do is make a timeline. Call it teleport. Teleport over time. Great. So double click and open this up. Just call this, I don't know why I keep doing that, over time. So the length we want is 0.2 seconds. So what we're going to do is add a keyframe, right click to do that. Set the initial time at 0, 0. Right click and add another one. You set this at around 0.9, not quite 1, and then left click on the nodes again, or right click on the nodes and click auto. This way you'll have like a nice clean curve, so it's not just fully linear. So now we have this over time, and here's what we're going to do with this. Plug all these up. Right click and type in ease, and we're going to go down to this interpolation and click this ease function. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to set this function to ease in and ease out, and this basically will replicate what we had before with the move component 2 node. So you plug in over time, which is our I guess half a parabola, I guess, into this alpha. Now you have these A and B nodes, and this is a mixed input, so you can pretty much plug in any of these variable types into it. And what this is going to do in our case, since we're setting the actor location, is we're going to take location A and location B and move A to B over the 0.2 seconds that we set in the timeline. So what we need to do is get a player controller. Or actually, no, get player pawn. And get its location. Plug this into A. And then plug the trace endpoint into B. So now that's all set up. We got A to B, so the player character is going to move to the end of the trace endpoint over 0.2 seconds. You just leave this alone and plug this result into here. Now we need to set a target, which is the player pawn, and then when this is updated, it should work. So this is, we basically just replicated the move component 2 node. So we can test that out now. I'm sorry I have to keep shooting, but if you've worked with UE4, you know you have to do it just even move. So we've just replicated it. You can see it works. And we don't go through objects. No, we don't. So that is why. That is why we just replicated all that. And I won't lie, that took me a good 3 or 4 hours to figure out when I started this project, just due to the fact that I had no idea how to manually replicate that, and I'd never seen anybody use that ease node before. So, but you can also see, since we don't have the limiter I showed, you can just fly. But we'll build that in another episode. So, that is all we're doing for this video. I'm sorry for stopping my speech a few times. I just have to think about all this when I'm doing it. But this is the basic teleport method. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time whenever we start fleshing this out some more.